guys, my name is Vito. I'm an addict. I'm going to tell you my story. So it started for me, well, my sober date was July 15th, 2015. I'm coming up on 4 years sobriety. My story started when I was younger. So I played soccer. I played lacrosse my whole life. I was always in sports. I started DJing Sweet 16s, block parties when I was in 6th grade summer. So with that, it came drugs, drinking. I started smoking pot. I started doing ecstasy in 7th grade summer. Just trying out of the box stuff because I was around older people, DJing. Started going to nightclubs when I was in 7th and 8th grade. Things just got pretty aggressively worse, but not worse. I stayed in school. I got good grades. I played soccer. Was all-county soccer player. I was captain of the varsity team. We won state championships, but it was all just covered because behind closed doors, when I wasn't doing that, wasn't in school, I wasn't playing sports, I was using. Going to pasta parties, and I was the one that was bringing a 30-pack of beers, trying to get people to use coke, trying to get people to use ecstasy. I was always out of the box. And I feel like a lot of people are like that. I feel like a lot of people behind closed doors show their true colors, and that was my story, and that's what happened with me. So I graduated high school, went to college maybe for a month, and it was all because of my family. My family would push me to go to college, to get a union job, to get all this, and I was like, screw all that. I was making great money doing, at this point I was started emceeing weddings and stuff, so I was making great money, and I'm like, I get to work on the weekends and just party and be able to use coke and drink, and that was my drug, was coke and alcohol. And I'm like, this is great. Didn't have to work during the week, and if I did, it was until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I was able to sleep. So I was all for it. So I didn't finish college, continued to DJ, got very heavily into it, became full-time doing it, and my coke addiction just spiraled. Finally moved out of my parents when I was 20, had my first apartment in Patchogue, New York, and it was right in the strip of all the bars and all the clubs that I used to go to. So great spot for a drug addict to be, right? It just got worse and worse and worse. I ended up in the Phoenix house for 30 days for my family. I did not want to go. I just went because I wanted everyone off my ass. 31 days, started using again. Now this went on for a couple more years. It got to the point where it was an everyday thing. By the time I got my paycheck on Thursday, I owed people money. Started to shake in my hands because I needed it so bad once that money hit my hands. By Thursday night, no money, everything done, partying, could not stop. My life got really, really bad. The lying, the stealing, the cheating, everything started to happen. I could not even get myself out of bed in the morning because I didn't want to know what I did the night before. Didn't want to know what happened, who I owed money to. How am I going to lie to not go to work, to not make it to a wedding, to not make it to a family function because I couldn't even function myself. It got so bad that I would pray to my Bible every morning and every night to not live. I did not want to live the life I was living. It's a really crazy feeling, but once that drink and the drug was in me, I thought I was able to take over the world. I finally know now that that's not the truth, but when you're in the grips of it, you really don't know what's going on, and you think that is reality, and it's really not. I thought I was just going to be cokehead Vito. So on July 14th, so my sober day is July 15th, I finally just dropped to my knees and I couldn't do it anymore. I didn't know what was reality. I didn't know who I was. I thought every day was a dream. I thought I wasn't going to wake up from this. I wanted to die. I would do so much cocaine to just try to make my heart stop. It wasn't fun anymore. And there was this guy always reaching out to me when I was out saying, when you're ready, you need help. When you're ready, you need help. I'm here. Call me, call me. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that. I finally called him because I was done. He got me on an airplane. I went to Phoenix, Arizona. Was it scary? Yes. Like a Guido from Long Island that's going to the desert with cactuses. But I didn't give a shit. I got on the plane, went to rehab, and in my head when I'm on that 5-hour flight was, I don't care if they tell me to sleep on a fucking roof, I'm gonna sleep on a roof to stay sober. I didn't care anymore. So I got there, got to rehab. Come to find out there was a lot of people from New York in rehab, and I started the process. So I was in treatment for 130 days inpatient. There were points in the beginning of it that I didn't know what was real, what wasn't. I was going mentally insane from doing coke for so long and drinking so long, but it got easier. I started listening to the suggestions that people were telling me. I finally got introduced while I was in rehab into the fellowship of AA and CA. Meetings are what kind of got me to the point I needed to be. Like, rehab was great. It was a bubble to get away from everything. The therapist, it was all good. I loved it. But the real process of everything started when I got into a meeting. And I'm like, holy shit, that guy sharing is exactly me. And I can relate to 99% of the stuff that he's talking about. And I'm like, I'm not alone in this. I feel like that's what meetings made me realize, is that, like, my story is not unique. There are people that have been through what I've been through or worse, and they're there and happy and they had a smile. Everyone was happy at the meeting. And I'm like, I want that. I was seeing the guy across from me, like, smiling, happiness, doesn't have anything, but he's purely happy. I'm like, I want that feeling. So I dug in. I got a sponsor, started going through the 12 steps, got through it, started making amends. Now it was a little harder for me because everyone I had to make amends for were out here in New York. First amends I made was my family when they came to visit me. It was a magical thing. We went up to this place called Sedona in Arizona. We were in the mountains, and I made the amends that I needed to make to my family. At that point, I was, I think, 80 days sober, or close to 90. That's when I really got it. Because, well, we never got it, but God came into my life, made this amends, and all these birds flew over me, and butterflies. So I bring up butterflies in my story a lot because my grandmother is a big part of my higher power. Of course, God is, and she loved butterflies. And it was weird. Every day in treatment outside, I would notice there was butterflies flying around me, and I believe that was my grandmother looking over me, and she always knew something was going on. And she was always there for me and always would call me at my hardest times to just tell me she loves me. And I firmly believe that. So that's like how I knew something bigger than me does live, and that's how I'm going to get through on my everyday life. So I went crazy into this. I got into it, got into AA, CA, and I just kept going. Now, another part of my story was about 1.5 years, 2 years in, I got totally dry. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped calling my sponsor. I was a bad person in relationships. I got addicted to going to the gym. I got addicted to healthy eating, not healthy eating. I got addicted to hanging out, going out. So my addiction spiraled in other places. And the only reason why that happened was because I wasn't connected anymore and I wasn't in the program. And the only reason why I tell people this is part of my story because it happens to a lot of people, and that's how they end up going out. Gratefully, I didn't go out. Gratefully, when I say go out, I mean, like, I didn't get high, I didn't get drunk. Gratefully, I had really good men around me, my brothers in sobriety that picked me up and, told me how it is and said, like, you need to get back into this. I moved back to New York over 1 year ago, got back into it heavily, got H&I commitment, have a home group, got my sponsor, going through my steps again. I go to therapy once a week. And everything is just good now. Everything's good. I'm happy. I'm content who I am, where I am, and what I am. Does life things happen in Vito's life? Yes. I had a child from like 60 days ago. And it's the love of my life, and I love my kid, and I'm going to do everything for her. So magical things do happen. If I had my kid during my addiction, it would be really scary to me. I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to be a father. But with God present in my life and good people in my life, and I stay connected in the program, I'm going to be the most amazing father. And nothing's scary to me anymore. I know I could do it if I just pray on it and I continue to be a good person every day in my life. I always like to end my story with like, and I didn't tell you everything, and there's no need to. I need to tell you now what's going on and why I'm happy and why I'm at where I'm at. And the one thing that I could just tell the people that like are still suffering, that don't see an outlet, you just got to give it a try. Latch on to somebody. Go to a meeting. Raise your hand. Tell someone you're struggling. Don't be afraid. Don't think it's something that like people frown upon. During my amends process, people did not. People like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that you're coming here. I don't want anything from you. I'm just happy you're sober. So like, people have a heart for this stuff. You don't want to die. You're a good person, and you got this. You could take this by the wings and go with it and get sober and get better. So like, for the addict that's still suffering, call somebody. Go to a meeting. Let somebody know that you're struggling. You don't need to do this alone, and you can't do this alone. I cannot stay sober alone and take it on by myself. My friend always says, it's not Vito's Anonymous, it's Alcohol's Anonymous. So like, you need to know that you can't do this. It's not your show. Let your higher power run your life. Go to your meetings, get a home group, get a sponsor, take guys through the steps, and be a good human in the world. Thanks guys for letting me share. My name's Vito. Once again, I'm an alcoholic, cokehead. You put it in front of me, I'm going to try to take it to the next limit. Hope this story will help somebody. And when we do post this online, I hope other people can get on their video camera, get on their phone, and start posting their stories. Because right now, with what's going on in the world and the shutdown, I think people need to see this and look at this. Thank you so much.